Unfortunate Events is an adaptation of the iconic children's novel series by Lemony Snicket. The show began releasing episodes in January of 2017 with its first season, and it lasted up until the final season's release in January of 2019. From the moment you turn on A Series of Unfortunate Events, you already realize the vibe and atmosphere that the show wishes to capture. It's not like the show hides this. Even in the opening theme, it immediately dawns on you with its titular line, "Look away." From there, you already know the dark tone that encapsulates its 3-season run. The show follows the 3 Baudelaire orphans, Waltz, Sunny, and Violet Baudelaire. Upon being placed in the hands of their new guardian, Count Olaf, an egotistical, self-indulged man who only desires the orphan's fortune.
I would stake my fortune on it, or my name's not whatever it is I told you it was.
From here, with Count Olaf, the main premise of the series becomes evident. Each of the books, or in the show's case, 2-episode pairs, Count Olaf will be taking a new disguise, and under that disguise, Count Olaf will, once again, seek the Baudelaire's fortune. It's important to note that in 2004, another adaptation of the same property came to be, that being the Jim Carrey movie.
Jim Carrey, Jim Carrey, Jim Carrey.
Otherwise known as Lemony Snicket's A Series of Unfortunate Events. Now, this movie is not very accurate to the source material. The reason I bring this up is that, to the contrary, the Netflix show very much is. Through film theory and design, A Series of Unfortunate Events uses its 40-minute runtime per episode to enhance the book series. Now, saying that the series doesn't diverge from the books would just be lying. You see, the original books were mostly episodic prior to the final 4. Thus, what the series decided to do was take its overarching plot and instead stretch it out through the whole show. What this resulted in is the show becoming so very captivating. Now, one of the most interesting aspects of A Series of Unfortunate Events you probably wouldn't even realize upon watching it, but when you look back at the show, you start to realize their use of color. What do I mean by this? Well, in the Reptile Room Part 1, we see the titularly named Reptile Room, and while Uncle Monty is alive and well in the Reptile Room alongside all of his exotic pets, the Reptile Room is bright, cheerful.
Life is a conundrum of esoterica.
However, at the end of the Reptile Room Part 1, Uncle Monty is killed. Thus, when we see the Reptile Room again in the Reptile Room Part 2, all of the life in this room feels dead. Sure, the exotic animals might be alive, but the relaxing safe haven that Uncle Monty provided to the Baudelaire orphans is removed not only from the orphans themselves, but also from the screen. Oh, and by the way, can we just talk about the show's soundtrack? Composed primarily by Urata for the first season, and the remainder by Jim Dooley, the soundtrack beautifully captures that dark, offbeat energy which the show so masterfully exudes. Oh, and you can't talk about series soundtrack without bringing up the leitmotifs. Now, you probably already know leitmotifs, but leitmotifs are melodies is associated with something. So in series, we have leitmotifs for Count Olaf, Carmelita Spatz, the Baudelaire orphans, even one-off characters in some cases. And oh my gosh, there's nothing like those first 8 notes to Olaf's leitmotif.
We don't know how to thank you.
I can think of a way.
Every time they show up, it's always so spine-chilling. Now, not only is the music filled with personality, but like the whole show is. Hostile Hospital, both Part 1 and Part 2, there's this overwhelming sense of claustrophobia. I would probably call this Meisen's theme, and it's really impactful because in every framing of these scenes, you always see like 1 or 2 walls, and it really puts the Baudelaire's feelings in perspective, because not only is the hospital crowded and we're supposed to feel this claustrophobia from the location, but the Baudelaires also at this point in the story are running from the law, in which case they feel trapped in their current status. I just wanted to bring up a little sort of mini plot point that was added in the first season. Throughout the first season, we slowly see that there's this group of older adults, a man and a woman, who we presume to be the Baudelaire's parents, like they somehow survived. And throughout the first season, we see them travel alongside the Baudelaires. Oftentimes, they cross paths, but they never meet. However, in the season finale, the Miserable MILF, we actually get this beautifully edited scene where we have both the characters going up to two golden doors, and when they open them, we learn that no, they aren't meeting. It's just so well done, and it's such a notable part of the first season on your first watch. Even for longtime fans of the book series, it's like, what's going on? And it's so good. So in conclusion, A Series of Unfortunate Events is just such a good show. I wanted to talk about it for a reason. Not only is the plot of the show awesome, but also the changes from the book and the ways that it just adapts the story to just make it so enthralling and interesting is just, it's amazing. Thanks for watching till the end. Bye-bye.
A noble man has been murdered. Look in your hearts and ask yourselves, what do you really want?
To burn children.